All right, any questions?
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Coach Leach is at the podium. We'll read questions in the room first. Go ahead, Theo.
You watched the film. What do you think went wrong offensively in the second half, where you guys were able to move it quite as efficiently as the first half?
Oh, I don't know if anything per se went wrong. We dropped balls. I would say that because we did drop more balls than we should have. But part of it's a good play on Utah's part. I mean, they're a very good team, and they're supposed to be the best in the country at stopping people, and I don't think they're far off of that if they're not. And tough to move the ball against them. But then, of course, we became tough to move the ball against, and so it was a battle. The biggest thing, I thought we could have played tougher at receiver. I thought we could have caught the ball better overall.
How do you coach that throughout the week? Is it just giving the receivers more balls to catch, or is it just assuming that?
No, you just got to hold their focus and improve, and part of it is get older. It's one of the quickest ways we can improve as a team is get older. But we want to accelerate that as much as we can.
Have you ever been a part of a win where you have 0 rushing yards? I mean, as much success you guys had passing yards, but what do you make of that?
I don't know. Maybe when I remember when we used to play Kansas State, we weren't going to recklessly run the ball because they were, they'd load the box up. They were great at it, so they'd outnumber it, and they were really good at stopping it. And I remember that one time. We had twice as many rushing yards against them as several teams in the league did, which we had 35 and beat them. So we were very pleased with that. We have, because it was a pretty balanced offensive effort. All kinds of positions touched the ball, and we had a lot of touches by a wide variety of positions, and who contributed to the offensive effort. So that's what we're looking for. We want contributions from all of our positions. And I don't care about that. Passing yards have a funny way of spending just as well as rushing yards do.
So do you kind of look at balance more so as who's touching the ball versus how they're touching it?
I want all the positions that touch it. There's nothing balanced about 50% run, 50% pass, because that's 50% stupid. Now, what is balanced is when you have 5 skill positions. If all 5 of them are contributing to the offensive effort in a somewhat equal fashion, then that's balanced. But this notion that if you hand it to one guy 50% of the time and then you throw it to a combination of 2 guys the other 50%, that you're really balanced, and you proudly pat yourself on the back and tell yourself that, and people have been doing that for decades, well, then you're delusional. So, that's how I look at it.
Where do you think that notion came from?
I just think stuff over time, somebody does it and somebody has success, and I think it becomes kind of self-perpetuating, I think, and as they have success, well, we're balanced, 50% run, 50% pass, and no, there's nothing clever about that. The clever thing is, the wishbone, who I think's a great offense, which I think's a great offense. There's nothing 50% run about the wishbone. They're like 95% run, but everybody touched the ball. That's why it's one of the greatest offenses devised.
You ever consider running the wishbone?
A little bit. You'd have to revamp a lot of stuff, but I do like the fact that, philosophically, it's very similar to ours. Attack sideline to sideline. We're regarded as being better downfield than they are, but they're better than they get credit for, because as the quarterback keeps it, the back trails, some of those pitches will take place downfield, so they are better at stretching downfield than they get credit for. And then everybody does touch the ball. That's an outstanding offense. And if you think about it, nobody's ever really stopped it. They get tired of it. They get bored with it, but nobody's really stopped it. So
You can't relate directly to what Jonathan Smith is going through at Oregon State, but what do you think a first-year coach going through kind of a rebuild like that has to endure the first season? What do you kind of remember about your first year?
Oh, shoot, yeah. Yeah, he thinks it's tough there. He ought to try it at Washington State the first year. Um, yeah, you just try to keep getting better, which they are, and they're getting better at every phase when I watch them play. You know, they're getting um, more efficient on offense. They weren't quite the whole Washington State was because they'd been a pretty good team within recent years. So we were in a little bigger hole when we started out here, but yeah, they're getting better in all phases of the game. You know that they do, and the thing is and every team searches for and battles for this, but you search for and try to create an identity for your team and something that they, like plays and key things that bring everybody together. And so I think that they're starting to develop that. They're getting tougher and tougher.
It'd be hard to measure that or realize that you're getting better if the wins still aren't coming. You use points of a game and kind of tell the team that they're getting better and give confidence to them.
Well, you just got to keep improving. You try to gauge it by improvement. You don't gauge it by everybody doing their best is their best. That's what you're searching for. I mean, you got to be the best you can be. If you play the very best you can and you lose, there's not much you can say.
Do you see similarities in what Coach Smith is doing at Oregon State from things that they did at Washington?
Yeah, some. Yeah, they shift around a little bit and try to get overlaps, try to get extra people. Yeah, they are like that. Well, of course, he was the front and center on it, so.
You think your experiences playing against Washington will help you out at all against this Oregon State team, or is it just different?
Well, they're a little different. He's a little more wide open. He's a little more wide open than they were there at Washington. So yeah, I guess the better question would be, because he'd had success before too, and so did Coach Peterson, and he's an offensive guy, and I don't know where that all melded and met, and then the other thing, sometimes your players affect what you select. So yeah.
The last time you guys went down to Oregon State, you went down to the half, came back to win. Is that a game that can be difficult to go to, especially when Oregon State is kind of on the lower end of the Pac-12 and players kind of fall into a role?
I don't know. You just try to play well. We got to get better this week. We've got a long ways to go, and we've got to get a lot better this week. And don't have a ton of time to do it, but we hung in there and played well and beat them last time. And some of it, sometimes you just have to punch through it.
Mark, did the film show anything interesting on the improvement of the defense over the course of that game?
Yeah, I thought we got better the second half. I thought the biggest thing, I thought we were more precise the second half. I thought that we pressured more the second half. We did a better job containing the quarterback. And then, I thought we kept rising as the game went on. I thought, our last couple drives on defense were the best ones of the game defensively. They're at a key time. And so we have been playing pretty hard in fourth quarters, and we seem to be in pretty good shape. So, yeah.
What about the blocked field goal?
Well, we struck it low. We've got to stop getting field goals blocked, but we struck it low. That was the biggest problem there. The one before we get beat at the interior position. This one we struck low. It was kind of a long field goal, so sometimes, they'll hit it lower, but that's too bad.
Let's go to questions on the phone line for Coach Leach.
Hey, Coach, go ahead. I was just wondering, coming back, from being down several times in that game, did you learn anything about your team last week?
Well, we've been competitive throughout camp and in the off season, and I did feel like we were competitive. And then Just I think it's important to have the composure to stay in there so you don't panic or don't over try or something like that. And I think we did that, and I was proud to see that.
Mike, this is Vince. I'm going to change gears here a little bit. I was just wondering how often when you recruit kids, do certain numbers come up? Is that important to kids in the recruiting process if a number is available, say at Washington State or wherever you've been recruiting?
It aggravates me a great deal. Yeah, it's way more important than it should be. I always figure, if you're a real player, if you're a good player, create the identity of the number around how you play. Make it your number rather than you be the guy with this number. You be the guy that this number's on, type of thing. You be the guy that elevates and creates a legacy for that number. So I do think plenty of them have it backwards that way. There is kind of a debate around here on who gets what number. We give them to the older guys that are playing the most. I hate duplicate numbers. So yeah, I think it's a bunch of foolishness. The best we had with this, and this was really kind of funny. So at Texas Tech, you got the heir apparent quarterback. This guy named B.J. Simmons going to play quarterback, and so B.J. Hang on, I'm allergic to this room. I'm not going to cough again today, but once I get out of this room. But so anyway, so BJ's the heir apparent quarterback, right? Had a great spring, throws the ball all over the place, just tears it up, and ends up being the all-time leading passer for a season in the history of college football. And so he's number 4, and Johnny Mack, our little running back, comes up, says, "Hey, BJ," he says, "Hey, I've always been 4. I like 4. I want to be 4." He goes, "Why don't you let me have that 4?" BJ says, "Sure, no problem." He goes, "Who cares?" He goes, "By the way, what number are you anyway?" He says, "I'm 2." He says, "Yeah, I'll take 2. Go ahead." And then it tosses him 4. From there on, it was like that. Well, the trouble is they'd sold, there were all these shirts, these Texas Tech jerseys, with number 4 on it, for BJ. And 444, trying to sell a bunch of 4s. Well, as it turns out, because BJ's about as sentimental about numbers as I am, there's a whole bunch of people at Texas Tech that watched the all-time leading passer for a season in the history of college football play, and they're all sporting a Johnny Mack jersey. So there's a lot of Johnny Mack fans that year that ended up in Johnny Mack jerseys. So that's kind of what I think about. I think about the same as BJ does about it.
Thanks.
Yep.
Other questions on the phone line for Coach?
Hey Coach, Jessamine here. I was just wondering what you're seeing in Aesop Winston as he's emerged as a target for Gardner over the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, he's getting better and better. He's really getting better and better. He's, did a lot of that in camp. He looked like that in camp, and did things like that in camp. And then I think a combination of things, him getting more used to, the setting in a Pac-12 game and that type of thing, just, being in the game, making a few plays, getting used to the environment there. And then I think Gardner's getting more and more used to what he does and what he's capable of. And so, I think their best ones are ahead. I think, I don't think we've seen the best of it. I think he's going to keep improving, and I think their timing's going to get better and better.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Other questions on the phone line for Coach? Okay, back in the room.
Kind of like Calvin over Roderick at the exposition now. He's played split all the last few weeks. He's got in there.
Well, I think they're both pretty good. We still may redshirt one, but and they're both going to have great careers. Roderick's younger, so but both can do some things, no question. And then we might not get that luxury, like I'd like to. I don't, but but we got to stay healthy.
Coach, I was curious to know your thoughts on recruiting international players. I know you recruited a lot of players from American Samoa. I mean, as guys who coached overseas, how do you feel about like guys who are coming over from Europe trying to play the American game?
If they're good, I think if they're good, try to get them. Try to get them, and then the other thing, these schools don't make it exactly easy as far as messing with those transcripts either. Y'all have to go talk to the tennis and volleyball crowd and see what they do, see what tricks they've got. But they, then the other thing, the hardest thing, really the most difficult thing is to evaluate the level that they're playing at, where they're at. When I was there, and from what I've seen, it's quite extreme. I mean, you'll have guys that are, borderline or maybe even Division I quality players, and then you'll have guys that would struggle playing at a high school, so, and then points in between. And so just the level of football that they're playing and things like that. I think there'll be more and more because see what's happened, and I've gone over and been a part of this, and it's awesome. I really enjoy it. What's happened over there is they've, in the meantime of bringing a handful of us over there to do clinics and camps and things like that, they've developed youth programs, and all these countries have youth programs. And I would say that very much in the fashion that soccer started here, you almost replace soccer with football. So soccer's the top priority over there, and then football's like soccer. But they get all our games on TV. I'll get texts from Europe, friends over there that just saw the game on TV. Sometimes it's easier to see our game over there in Europe, it appears, than it is here. But and I'll get the text like in real time, like 5 minutes after the game, zzz, 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 and then there's all the numbers. Instead of 7 numbers, there's 20 numbers or whatever. And so they got all these youth teams and stuff that are elevating, and in a lot of cases, those guys are planning to play somewhere. So.
Other questions for Coach?
You kind of heard about the situation at Clemson where the quarterback who had been starting transferred after 4 games, and kind of, are you concerned that the new redshirt rule will kind of allow players to do that and they kind of get their 4 games in, and then if they're not going to play a lot more, then they can transfer? Is that kind of maybe one of the downsides to the new rule?
I don't know. We'll see how the new rule unfolds, but I think that guy should have stayed throughout the semester. I mean, why wouldn't you? But maybe Clemson didn't want him to. I don't know, but I don't know the details of it and new rules and whatnot. I mean, we were going along pretty good with the ones we had, I thought. So.
Okay, last chance on the phone for Coach.
Coach Jessamine, one more time. Just wanted to get your thoughts on Deion Singleton, who came in for Skylar Thomas. He had a career night. What'd you see out of him?
He's playing better and better. He's getting better and better. He's been on and off the field over his career, but he's a long-rangey target. He's gotten bigger since he's been here. Just a real pleasant guy. It was good to see him go out there, have some success, and we need some more depth at that position anyway.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Okay, back in the room.
Gardner had a few balls batted down last game. He's got one review in each of the games. Is there something he can do to kind of avoid that, or are they kind of smart?
Yeah, I just got to be better at throwing in lanes and things like that. Yeah. And just we put hold those dummies up during scale and things like that to try to, work against that. But yeah, we just got to avoid it. We've got to avoid it, and then offensive linemen, if you feel a guy jumping, you got to run your feet and put them on their back. So
It seemed like Utah had someone kind of spying that and kind of behind.
sometimes, not the whole time, they did a few times. They did sometimes. They'd show one run box and then they'd peel off and try to take space. And that's both good and bad. I mean, the good is that there's less pass rush. The bad is that all of a sudden they can occupy a space you're not expecting. So.
Is there any validity to the story surrounding you and the '99 Red River rivalry about you dropping a play sheet on the Texas sideline that had a fake tunnel screen play on there and you ended up scoring on the first or second play? That started to kind of surface now that it's Red River rivalry.
It wasn't a tunnel screen. Antoine Savage scored it. Well, yeah, no, it's totally true, and I wrote about it in the book "Swing Your Sword." And then as you're sitting there watching film and there all night and whatnot, Cale Gundy and I started talking, and of course Cale Gundy is kind of Mr. Oklahoma, played there and the whole thing, and was their quarterback, and then and of course. I coached Heupel, and then me and Heupel tried to make sure we broke all Cale Gundy's records in a year, which I think we did. And then, but anyway, so Cale and I got together and we put up, wrote up these plays and kind of plays that were would have terms that were, terms and stuff that were kind of opposite what we were doing. And then we put the Cale Gundy at the top of it, as in Cale's the one that lost the script, And then we left it on the field, after the kickers left, it's laying on the field. And it was kind of funny watching them find it, oh, what's this? And then the guy kind of double takes it, the GA or whoever. Then he sprints to Carl Reese, the DC. And Carl looks at it and quickly tucks it in his pocket and walks in the tunnel. And then I've heard over the years, like, people that were there, and they said, yeah, the whole time before the game, they're sitting there studying, trying to break this sucker down, and trying to see what they can arrive at from it. And, so you try to say something opposite, like you'd say, screen, but then you'd go vertical or something like that, or something to the outside that's going to go inside. But you had to, we had to monkey around with the language a little bit so they could kind of pick out what it was, because they didn't necessarily know how we call our plays. And then, but the first score, we get rolling, and sometimes it's just disruptive if you're trying to tell your players to remember a bunch of stuff. Look for this, watch for that, tell him this, you give them a bunch of maybes and guys will play hesitant. And, well, anyway, Anton Savage caught a crossing route and went up the sideline. This was, I don't know which play it was, probably the fifth play or so, sixth. Went up the sideline, scored a touchdown. So, yeah. And he was a freshman. Antoine Savage was a freshman.
Anything else for Coach?
Coaches football. Actually, I need to keep in touch with the Tom.
Also, real quick, I was wondering if you got a chance to see one of your former players, Cliff Kingsbury's outfit before his game on Saturday, and how he was dressed.
I didn't see it. He's got some shock value taste in his clothes. What do you wear?
Yeah, I have a photo on my phone. I can send it to you. But yeah, he definitely dressed pretty dapper there.
Yeah.
See if this is anything that you would want to try on, maybe.
Wow, he didn't learn a thing working with me, did he? How about that? Well, if you got it, flaunt it, I guess, huh?
when you were coaching him back in the day?
Yeah, actually, I kind of did. Oh shoot, I'd love to be. I mean, I'd love to be there because I could amuse myself for 2 days picking this one apart. No, he's always been a sharp dresser. The best is you'd go see him golf. He'd go golfing. And I don't think he likes golf very much. That's one thing I think we kind of agreed on. We hated golf. I know, hopefully he hasn't taken up the game, but he didn't care for it much then. But once in a while they talk him into going golfing, and then, and golfers wear those shock value clothes, and he'd take it to a whole different level, and kind of a combination of style, daring style, panache, disgusting. He could stir it all in and bring it off. Here he goes, and so he's always had that. He always had, and even if he dressed down, there would always be a little something to it, like ragged Levi jeans or something. That, but then there's this, or a shirt like this, or a belt like that, and then. And then there was some good dialogue in that quarterback room, too. Cliff and BJ going back and forth on what they thought of each other's tastes in clothes, music, dates, all the rest, So it was well worth listening to. And then in between, you try to teach them, where to put their eyes on various plays and things. So, yeah, but I wish him the best of luck.
Anything else for Coach?
What you think of Minshew emulating Ryan Fitzpatrick at the press conference last week with sunglasses?
Who's Ryan Fitzpatrick?
The
Quarterback.
Buccaneer quarterback.
With the,
Oh, yeah. The Harvard guy.
yes, that guy.
Okay, yeah, and well, I didn't know he was, but I mean, you better sharpen that one up so that I can recognize it. I mean, yeah, if you're going to imitate a fella, most people better know that's who it is. Maybe they did, and I need to get out more, but yeah.
He was just wearing aviators, so it wasn't.
He's got the aviators. I think the aviators are coming back a little bit, and then aviators are coming back a little bit. So I got a big nose, so I wear bigger lenses, so they'll sit straight. Yeah.
Fan question, Femi?
All right, today's fan question of the week is, speaking of Minshew, where do you rank his mustache among the history of mustaches?
I actually think it's a little overblown. So many guys are beard guys now that I think then he backs it off to the mustache that it's gotten a little attention. The best I heard somebody said, maybe somebody in here said Butch ought to put on a mustache. So they could do that. No, I don't know. And the funny thing is it wasn't really that daring or nothing like that. The poor guy just came in with the mustache, and all of a sudden the mustache took off, So, but good for him. But pretty soon there'll be little kids this Halloween drawing mustaches on their face, And heck, after Halloween, that won't come. It probably won't come off till the middle of the week. So, and there may be a kid or two that dress up like him, but mustache would be required. Yep.
You got anybody with a particularly bad mustache?
Oh yeah. Well,
You guys don't mind?
present company, not. Well, mine was very bad, and I only had it for like 4 months. I thought it was awful. Well, my wife thought it was awful. I thought it was a good idea experiment, and it's going to be kind of lonesome dove, like. And it was about 4 months, and I just got tired of feeling it, tired of it being there. All of a sudden, you're going along and take a bite of something, and then there's a mustache that's got food in it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a mustache guy, but yeah, mine was pretty bad, and it didn't last long. I don't know. You got to get the corners down below so you don't look too 1970s,
What do you think of the Uncle Rico nickname for Gardner?
I don't know. I guess it's good. He's a little thicker than Uncle Rico. But yeah, there's a little similarity, and you know, he can get things done like Uncle Rico can. You know, he can hook you up. You know.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.